Hello everyone, and welcome to a review of the 2022 AMC8, which just the window of the AMC8 just concluded not too long ago. Now, just like the AMC8, I'm going to keep this very short and sweet, so not much sidetracking, not much background info. I'll get straight into the questions, but just with one comment before we start, which is that if you haven't taken the AMC8 because your country doesn't offer the AMC8, or you didn't have a chance to sign up for whatever reason, the link to the problems is in the description below, and if you would like to try them for practice first before before viewing this video, please do so and then come back later. With that, let's go straight to the problems. Now remember that the AMC8 is a very quick contest, 40 minutes, so we are only going to take hopefully less than 40 minutes to go through these problems. Question 1. The math team designed a logo shaped like a multiplication symbol shown below in the grid of 1-inch squares. Okay, so what is the area? Well, we notice that it is formed by these 5 slanted squares, and each of these 5 slanted squares has an area of 2. So 2 times 5 would give you 10. Question 2. Consider these two operations, diamond and star. So basically just put the numbers in. So 5 squared minus 3 squared, 25 minus 9 is 16. 16 star 6 would be 16 minus 6, which is 10. 10 squared is 100. When 3 positive integers a, b, c are multiplied together, their product is 100. Suppose a less than b less than c. In how many ways can the numbers be chosen? So positive and different. Let's just write down all the ways. So you have 1 times 2 times 50. So the first one is 1, then we're just listing our factors. Right? So 4 times 25, 5 times 20, and then the next one, 10 times 10, I cannot do. So let's move on to 2. I can't do 2 times 2, so the next two numbers must multiply to 50. So it would be 2 times 5 times 10. And actually at this point we can stop looking because we have found 4 ways and that's the largest option. So the answer must be 4. Question 5. Oops, my question shifted below. Let me adjust that first. Anna and Bella are celebrating their birthdays together. 5 years ago, when Bella turned 6 years old, she received a newborn kitten as a birthday present. So 5 years ago, Bella was 6 years old. So Bella is now 11. The kitten was newborn, so now the kitten is 5. Now the sum of the ages of the 2 children and the kitten now is 30. So 30 minus 11 minus 5 is 14. So that means Anna is 14. And that means that Anna is 3 years older than Bella. Oh no, that's the wrong question, right? Let me change that. I think I copied question 5 twice. So this is for question 5, sorry. Minor hiccup, let me bring in question 4. Okay, so I mixed up the question order, so just take note of that. This is actually supposed to be question 5, and question 4 I shall put it in here. I haven't gotten everything off by 1, right? No, I have not. Okay, let me adjust it down. So this is an additional time handicap that I seem to have accidentally given myself. Okay, question 4. The letter M in the figure below is first reflected over the line Q and then reflected over the line P, which is the resulting image. Okay, so when you reflect M over the line Q, it will look something like this. If my drawing's not too bad. Now you reflect it over P, it will look something like that. So that looks like option E to me. Yeah, nothing else, right? Just 2 reflections. Okay, so I've done those in the wrong order. Let's hope the rest are in the correct order. This is question 6. 3 positive integers are equally spaced on the number line. The middle number is 15 and the largest number is 4 times the smallest number. Equally spaced means that the middle number is literally in the middle. Right? So if I have got x and 4x, then 15 is the average of the two. So that means that 15 times 2 is 30, would be the sum of these two, and so 5x equals to 30 and x equals to 6. Question 7. When the World Wide Web first became popular, okay, so let's get to the point. The speeds were at a maximum of 56 kilobits per second. How long will it take for you to download a 4.2 megabyte song? And 4.2 megabytes has 1 megabyte with 8,000 kilobits. So it's 4.2 times 8,000 divided by 56 is the number of seconds, and then you divide further by 60 because they are asking you for minutes. Now this is very far apart, 0.6, 10, 1, 8, 0, 0, 7, 2, 0, 0. So actually we don't really need to calculate everything, we just need to do a rough estimate. So the top can be roughly 8 times 4 is about 32,000. So a bit more than 32,000. This one I can estimate at 60 times 60, which is about 3,600. So this is about more than 30,000, more than 3,000. So somewhere around 10 will be good enough since they asked for approximately anyway. So that tells us to estimate. Question 8. What is the value of these fractions multiplied together? Now remember that for fractions, we can cancel out anything in common. So the 3, 4, 5 until 20 are all going to appear, leaving us with only 1 times 2 over 21 times 22. So this would be 1 over 21 times 11, and 21 times 11 is 231. So that's option B. Question 9. Cup of boiling water, 212 Fahrenheit, is placed to cool in a room whose temperature remains constant at 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I have to admit that I do things in Celsius here, so I don't know what this means, but I assume there's room temperature and 100 degrees Celsius. And anyway, this whole question is in Fahrenheit, thank goodness, so I don't have to remember my conversion to Celsius. So the difference between the water and the room temperature is halved every 5 minutes, means that I should definitely calculate the difference first. 212 minus 68 is 144. It's halved every 5 minutes. 15 minutes means it is halved 3 times. So I halve it to 72, I halve it to 36, I halve it to 18. So that means that the difference is now going to be 18. So 18 plus 68 is equals to 86, which is option B. Question 10. One sunny day, Ling decided to take a hike in the mountains. She left her house at 8 AM. She drove at a constant speed of 45 miles per hour and arrived there at 10 AM. So she should have covered 90 miles after these 2 hours. So that means that I can rule out this, and this already. After hiking for 3 hours, she drove home at a constant speed of 60 miles per hour. So 60 miles per hour, and her distance currently was 90 miles. We have to assume that the car didn't move when she was hiking, so she came back to her car and then went back 90 miles. So 90 miles divided by 60 miles per hour would be 1.5. So here this is from 1 to 3 PM, that's 2 hours. Here is 1 to 2:30 PM, which is 1.5 hours. So I think option E should be correct. Question 11. Henry the donkey has a very long piece of pasta. He takes a number of bites of pasta, each time eating 3 inches of pasta from the middle of one piece. This is some annoying donkey. In the end, he has 10 pieces of pasta whose total length is 17 inches. Okay, this is important actually. When you read the question and you see middle of one piece, is that important? For some questions, no. But here it is important because if you eat from one end, you're only going to have a slightly less long piece of pasta. But when you eat in the middle, you are left with, let's say you cancel the middle, now you are left with 2 shorter pieces of pasta. So each time when he bites, he has got one extra piece of pasta. So if he ends up with 10 pieces, it means that he took 9 bites. And the 9 bites each time are 3 inches. So you get 27 inches are how much the donkey Henry has eaten. And you're still left with 17. So 27 plus 17 is 44. It's a bit nasty because I think some easy mistake to make would be to think that it took 10 bites. And so 10 times 3 plus 17, which is 47. That is quite a common trap that you have to be careful to avoid. Question 12. The arrows on the 2 spinners shown below are spun. Let the number n equal 10 times the number of spinner A added to the number on spinner B. So basically the first digit comes from here, the second digit comes from here. What's the probability that your number is a perfect square? Right, so we just need to look at perfect squares that start with 5, 6, 7 or 8. If I start listing from 25, 36, 49, 64 and 81, these are the 2 that could appear on my 2 spinners. Now there are 2 possibilities out of a total of 4 times 4, which is 16. So 2 out of 16 is 1 over 8. Question 13. How many positive integers can fill the blank in the sentence below? One positive integer is blank more than twice another, and the sum of the 2 numbers is 28. Okay, so let's call this another number x, and then this other positive integer would be 2x plus blank. The sum of the 2 numbers is 28, so 2x plus blank plus another x. So 3x plus blank equals to 28, which means that your blank is 28 minus 3x, where x is some other positive integer. Now, x could go from 1 up to 9, because when you go to 9, then you're left with 28 minus 27 is 1. You cannot go any further than that. So therefore, you are left with 9 possible x, 9 possible blanks, and your answer is 9. Question 14. In how many ways can the letters in Beekeeper be arranged such that 2 or more E's do not appear together? Well, there are 4 E's and there are 5 E's and 9 letters. Well, that's great. 5 E's and 9 letters means that the only way they can avoid each other would be something like this. And you've got 4 blanks where you have got B, K, P and R. B, K, P and R can go in any order. And so with 4 letters, you have got 4 factorial, which is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And that is equals to 24 ways. Question 15. Laszlo went online to shop for black pepper and found 30 different black pepper options varying in weight and price, shown in the scatter plot below. In ounces, what is the weight of the pepper that offers the lowest price per ounce? This is quite convenient. I'm going to see if I can draw a line to help me out. Oops, this is a curve. This is a line. Let me move it over. So you want to drag this around. So you could use a ruler if you are doing this in a paper contest. If you took the AMC mandate. So drag it until you hit the first point. Now this is pretty close, but the first point that you hit is down here. So that means that in terms of price per ounce, this should be the lowest. It would be down there. And down here is 3 ounces. So my answer is 3. Question 16. 4 numbers are written in a row. The average of the first 2 is 21. The average of the middle 2 is 26. The average of the last 2 is 30. What's the average of the first and last numbers? Now, average about 90% of the time is just a way of summarizing data into a smaller number, but it isn't very useful in solving questions. You need to make it back into a sum. Now the average of the first two is 21, so 21 times 2 is 42. The average of the middle two is 26, 26 times 2 is 52. The average of the last two is 30, 30 times 2 is 60. So you want the average of the first and last numbers. That is quite easy. We just do 42 plus 60 minus 52 to give us 50. 50 is the sum of the other two numbers at the start and end. And then you get the average. The average is 50 over 2, which is 25. Question 17. If n is an even positive integer, the double factorial notation n double factorial represents the product of all the even integers from 2 to n. For example, 8 double factorial is 2 times 4 times 6 times 8. What is the units digit of the following sum? This is a pretty classic question, except that they changed it to double factorial. I think the MAA didn't want the question to be too familiar, but the concept is still the same. Once you reach 10 double factorial, you basically will have a factor of 10 somewhere, 2 times 4 times 6 times 8 times 10, and the last digit will be 0. Now, so this units digit from 10 onwards, they are not going to contribute anything. They're all going to be 0. So all you need to do is to take 2, 4, 6, 8 and look at the last digit. So this is 2, 2 times 4 gives you 8, 2 times 4 is 8, 8 times 6 gives you 48, so last digit is also 8, and then 8 times 8 gives you another 64, so the last digit here is 4. Okay, so overall you get 2884, this sums up to 10 plus 12, 22, so the last digit is 2. Question 18. The midpoints of the 4 sides of a rectangle are minus 3, 0, 2, 0, 5, 4, and 0, 4. Okay, a bit of coordinates here. What is the area of the rectangle? Now I think we could find the area of the coordinates of the rectangle, or at least something like it, but I don't feel like doing that. I think we have something nicer here. Now what we have is, because any rectangle, if we connect up the 4 midpoints, it will give us a rhombus. But more importantly, it will give me a rhombus that is half the rectangle's area. So if I can draw these 4 points and see how the rhombus looks like, then I will know what is the area quite easily. So let me now put in my coordinate axis, x and y, and put in my points. My points are minus 3, 0, 2, 0, 5, 4, and 0, 4. Well, this is pretty clear cut in terms of what my rhombus is. Not very to scale, but the good news is the height is obviously 4 and the base is obviously 5. So the area of this rhombus is 20, and so the area of the rectangle is twice of that, which is 40. Question 19. Mr. Ramos gave a test to his class of 20 students. The dot plot below shows the distribution of test scores. Okay, let's not look at the dot plot, let's read the rest of the question. Mr. Ramos discovered there was a scoring error on one of the questions. He regraded the test, awarding some of the students 5 extra points, which increased the median test score to 85. What's the minimum number of students who received extra points? Note that the median test score equals the average of the 2 scores in the middle if the 20 test scores are arranged in increasing order. Okay, so when the median is 85, it means that the average of the 2, so the 2 in the middle for 20 students is the 10th and the 11th scores, average 85. So it could be that they are 85 and 85. It could be also that maybe they are 80 and 90. That's the most likely thing. Now currently, let's see where the 10th and 11th score are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 are currently in the 80 space, right? And down here, you currently have 7 students. So there's no point shifting the lower scorers by 5. If you want the minimum number, it is not going to have come from shifting those. You would want to shift those at 80 over to 85, or maybe those from 75 to 80, right? One of the two would be the most sensible. So let's just try it out. First of all, you need to make sure that you have enough people at the 85 score. If I just shift the two 85s here, I'm only going to get 7 students down here. That's not enough. So I have to shift at least some of those from the 80 over. So let's say that I shift over 1, 2, that's still not enough because that will only give me 9. So let's say I shift 3 of them over to here. Now if I shifted the 3 of them over there, this would give me the 10th highest is here and the 11th highest is here. So that's still not enough for the median to 85 because I'll have actually 82.5. So the only way to resolve this is to shift over 1 more, and that would require a 4th student. So there we go. Now the rule of thumb is that if the median is 85, then everyone above the median, which is 9 students, must have scored at least 85. So that's the reason why I started moving 3 over first, and then see if that's enough. Right? That turned out to be not enough, so we shifted 1 more. So your answer is actually 4 students must be shifted over. Question 20. The grid below is to be filled with integers in such a way that the sum of the numbers in each row and column are the same. This is not a true magic square because row and column are mentioned, but not the diagonals. So take note of that. 4 numbers are missing. The number x is larger than the other 3 missing numbers. What is the smallest possible value of x? Okay, clearly the sum of the numbers we can find, 5 plus 8 minus 1 is 12, and that is consistent down here as well. So we can calculate all the other 3 numbers in terms of x. This is 8 and x, so you will need here to be 4 minus x. Here you've got x minus 2, so you need to plus 2 plus another 14, but minus x. The one in the middle, you currently have got 13 minus x. So 13 minus x means that you need to have x minus 1. Now it says the number x is larger than all of the other 3 missing numbers, meaning that it's larger than all of these. Now obviously x is bigger than x minus 1, so we don't have to worry about that. Now 14 minus x is bigger than 4 minus x, so we just need to make sure that x is bigger than 14 minus x. So this means 2x is more than 14, x is more than 7, and since it is an integer, it must be at least 8. Question 21. Steph scored 15 baskets out of 20 in the first half, 10 out of 10 in the second half. Candice took 12 attempts in the first half and 18 attempts in the second half. In each half, Steph scored a higher percentage of baskets than Candice. Another thing that MA likes to do is to use familiar people, and so don't get distracted thinking of Steph Curry and Candice Parker. Please focus on the question, especially in an AMC8. They ended up with the same overall percentage, and they did take the same number of attempts, right? Steph has 25 out of 30. Candice has the same percentage, means that she also has 25 out of 30. Surprisingly, they ended up with the same overall percentage, but in each half, Steph scored a higher percentage of baskets than Candice. So higher means that you can't be tied, it must be really higher. So Candice in the second half got 18, so it cannot be 18 out of 18. The next possibility would be 17. Right, it's at most 17. The first half, Candice got less than Steph. Steph had 3 and 4. So 3 and 4 is 9 and 12, which means that Candice has at most 8. And just nice, 8 plus 17 is 25, which makes sense because otherwise there would be multiple answers to the question. So it has to fit just nice in order to have a single answer. And so in the second half, 17 minus 8 is 9 extra baskets in the second half. Question 22. Bus takes 2 minutes to drive from one stop to the next and waits 1 minute at each stop to let passengers board. Zia takes 5 minutes to walk from one bus stop to the next. As Zia reaches a bus stop, if the bus is at the previous stop or has already left the previous stop, then she'll wait for the bus. Otherwise, she'll start walking to the next stop. Suppose the bus and Zia start at the same time towards the library with the bus 3 stops behind. After how many minutes will Zia board the bus? Okay, so we don't need to consider immediately the timings because the options show something like 17 minutes. So at the very least, let's just look at what happens after 15 minutes. Now after 15 minutes, Zia is here. The bus takes 2 minutes to drive and then 1 minute to wait. So you'll be here at the 3 minutes, you'll be here at 6 minutes, 9 minutes, 12 minutes, and then 15 minutes. So just nice. At 15 minutes, it means that Zia is here, the bus is at the previous stop. Now it says that if the bus is at the previous stop, she will wait for the bus, so she's going to wait for the bus to come. The bus takes another 2 minutes to come here, and then she will board the bus. She will board the bus doesn't mean that it has left yet, but the question just asks when will she board the bus. So the answer is none other than 17. Question 23. A triangle or circle is placed in each of the 9 squares in a 3x3 grid. Shown below is a sample configuration with 3 triangles in a line. How many configurations will have 3 triangles in a line and 3 circles in a line? So this is kind of like a tic-tac-toe where both players win. But take note that it doesn't need to be alternating, right? You could have something like 6 triangles and only 3 circles, like the one that is shown in the diagram. Now the key thing about in a row for tic-tac-toe is, as we know, when you try to form 3 in a row, you are also blocking your opponent most of the time. Because there's only so many places in which you can form 3 in a row inside a 3x3 grid. Specifically, you have the columns, you have the rows, and you have the diagonals. Now, if you have 3 in a row, you can't have 3 in a column. If you have 3 in a column, you can't have 3 in a row. If you have 3 in a diagonal, you can't have anything else. So even though it says 3 in a line, the only way in which this can happen is both are in rows or both columns. You can't have 3 triangles in a row and 3 circles in a column. Now with that in mind, we also know that since this is symmetric, the number of ways with 3 in a row and 3 in columns will be the same. So let's just focus on 1 and remember to times 2 at the end. Okay, so now we want to focus on rows. We can ask ourselves which will be the ways to have 3 triangles in a row and 3 circles in a row. Well, let's decide which of them will be the triangle first. There are 3 choices for the triangle row. And then there are 2 more choices left for the circle row. So let's say that you decide that here you want to put 3 triangles, and here you decide you want to put 3 circles. Now you still have 3 more, and you can do anything inside these 3. So in these 3, you have 2 choices, 2 choices, and 2 choices, which is 8, right, which is the last row. So 3 times 2 times 8 is 48. Now we have to be a bit careful for any counting question like this though, because there might be a chance that we have over-counted something, meaning that we have counted the same thing twice. Well, you might ask, how can that happen? Isn't it that there is a triangle row, a circle row, and a third row? That is indeed the case. However, it is possible that you will have multiple rows with all triangles or multiple rows with all circles. So if there's only 1 row of triangles and 1 row of circles and 1 row of a mixture, that will only have been counted 1 time. But if we have a situation like this, where we have, let's say, triangles, 3 circles, and 3 triangles again. Now remember, it says 3 triangles in a line, it doesn't say only 1 line. It could be 2 lines. Now this would have been counted in the case where I picked this as my triangle row, and then after that this as my third row. Or it could be that I pick this as my triangle row and this as my third row. So this would have been counted twice. Now each of these cases where you have got triangle, circle, triangle and occupying the whole row, or vice versa, circle, triangle, circle and the whole row would have been counted twice. There are 3 ways in which this one can happen. There are also 3 ways in which this one could happen, which means that we have counted 6 extra ways twice. So 48 minus 6 is 42. Now finally, don't forget to multiply by 2 at the end, which is why I put the times 2 there in preparation, because it can also be the same argument for 3 columns. Therefore, our answer is none other than 84. Question 24. The figure below shows a polygon ABCDEFGH consisting of rectangles and right triangles. When folded and cut on the dotted lines, the polygon forms a triangular prism. What is the volume of the prism? Okay, this one's a little bit difficult to visualize possibly because it is not immediately obvious where is the prism, like where is it? But we know that a triangular prism, just by the meaning of triangular prism, is going to be a triangle at the top, a triangle at the bottom, and then it would just be a height. Now we have to assume that the 3 rectangles form the 3 rectangular faces, right? That's the only way in which it could happen. But regardless, once we have folded it, we know that all of those rectangular faces have to be sort of vertically aligned, and so this here would be the height. So I just need to get base area times height and I would be fine. Now another thing is that your heights, we know that will be for all 3 of them. So when you think of folding them together, you can see that this would actually have been the height here. So the height here is actually equal to 8. So this is 8, which is why this looks suspiciously like a square. This is 8, 14 minus 8 is 6, and so this would form a right-angled triangle with sides 6, 8, and the last side must be 10, because by Pythagoras theorem or your 3, 4, 5 ratio, this is a 6, 8, 10 right-angled triangle. So the volume of the prism is the base area times height. The base area is half times 8 times 6, and you times 8 again. So 4 times 6 times 8, 24 times 8 is 192. Pretty tricky question, but if your visualization isn't that good, just ask yourself what's a prism, and you would kind of be able to figure out which sides should end up where after folding. Finally, question 25. A cricket randomly hops between 4 leaves on each turn, hopping to one of the other 3 leaves with equal probability. After 4 hops, what is the probability that the cricket has returned to the leaf where it started? Now here's the key thing that you need to realize. There is really just my starting leaf and the 3 others. So instead of thinking as 1, 2, 3, 4 and getting a terrible headache, let's just have the initial and split it into the start and the 3 others. Right? Now initially, of course, you start at this place here, which means that after 1 hop, you are definitely going to end up on one of the others. Now, the next time you can say at the start, whenever you want to know what's the probability you end up at the start after a hop, if you were at any of the others, there's a 1/3 chance you end up back there. So there's a 1/3 chance here you're there, and there's a 2/3 chance you are at the others, because it must always sum to 1. Now we do this again. There's a 2/3 chance it's at one of the 3 others, meaning 2/3 times 1/3 is 2 over 9, and here must be 7 over 9. Finally, repeat again. 7 over 9 times a 1/3 chance is 7 over 27, and I'll just calculate this even though I don't need to. I don't need to because I've already got my answer of 7 over 27. Okay, so I think this was quite an interesting set of questions. It is probably a normal difficulty AMC8 if we compare it to recent times. I have to admit I haven't looked at every of the AMC8 papers recently, so maybe some of you will be able to give a better description of the difficulty, whether it is easier or more difficult than some of the others if we go back into the 2019, 18, 17 or the other years. Alright, so that's all for me. Hope you found this useful, and please feel free to leave any comments below. Thank you very much, and see you next time.